They gave up their dreams quietly. They postponed happiness without complaint. They reshaped their entire existence around one single goal, their children's success. And yet, years later, those same children stand tall and say, I did everything on my own. My parents never really did much for me. This moment, this silence that follows is not just emotional pain. It is a psychological wound that many parents carry to their graves, unnamed and unseen. So, why does this happen? Why do children forget sacrifices? And why does gratitude fade as success grows? Today, we explore this painful reality through the lens of psychology. So, let's get started. The parental sacrifice mindset. From a psychological standpoint, most parents operate from what is called self erasure. They unconsciously replace their own identity with a new one. I exist to provide. Parents often suppress personal dreams, emotional needs, leisure and joy, and self development. Why? Because the parental brain becomes wired for future projection. They are not living for today, they are living for who their child might become tomorrow. Psychologists call this deferred self fulfillment. Parents tell themselves, once my child succeeds, my life will finally make sense. But here lies the first invisible tragedy. Children grow up inside the sacrifice, not aware of it. Why children don't see the sacrifice? Children do not experience sacrifice as sacrifice. They experience it as normalcy. When a child grows up with education provided, needs fulfilled, emotional cushioning, and stability maintained, the brain labels this as baseline reality, not a gift. Psychology refers to this as hedonic adaptation. In simple words, the human mind quickly adjusts to comfort and begins to assume it is as standard. So, when parents struggle silently, skipping desires, working extra hours, and absorbing stress quietly, the child's brain does not record this as effort. It records it as how life works. The illusion of self made success. As children grow older and achieve success, another psychological mechanism activates the self serving bias. This bias causes people to credit success to themselves, blame failure on external factors. So, success becomes I worked hard, I stayed focused, and I made the right decisions, while parental contributions fade into the background. Why? Because acknowledging help threatens the ego's narrative of independence. In modern psychology, independence is mistakenly equated with self worth. Admitting support feels like weakness, so the mind rewrites history. Emotional amnesia and silent parents. Parents rarely narrate their sacrifices. They don't say, I gave up my dreams, I endured loneliness, or I swallowed my pain. Why? Because parental love often operates through silent endurance. Psychologists call this altruistic motive, the suppression of one's pain to protect an other's emotional comfort. Ironically, this silence becomes dangerous because unspoken sacrifice often goes unregistered. Children don't remember what they were never told. Cultural shift and psychological distance. In earlier generations, survival required collective effort. Today's culture emphasizes individual achievement, personal branding, and self reliance narratives. Social media amplifies this illusion. The message is clear. You are successful because you are exceptional, not because someone absorbed risk for you, someone created stability, or someone stood behind you quietly. This cultural psychology disconnects children from lineage. They see themselves as beginnings, not continuations. Why some children say, "You did nothing for me." This statement is rarely hatred. It is often emotional blindness. Psychology explains this through emotional detachment, suppressed guilt, and defensive independence. Acknowledging parental sacrifice would require gratitude, vulnerability, and emotional accountability. For some, this is psychologically uncomfortable. So, denial becomes protection. The parent's final psychological burden. When children dismiss their sacrifices, parents experience existential grief, identity collapse, and silent mourning. This is known as unacknowledged loss. They don't grieve a person, they grieve meaning. They ask themselves, "Did my life matter?" And often they answer in silence. The truth children realize too late. Psychology has a cruel timeline. Understanding parental sacrifice often comes after parenthood, after loss, or after irreversible distance. When the child finally stands where the parents once stand, they feel the weight. And then the realization hits, they carried what I never saw. But by then, apologize echo into absence. A psychological reform for both sides. Parents must understand children are not ungrateful by nature. They are psychologically unaware. Children must learn independence does not raise sport. Gratitude does not weaken strength. True maturity is not saying I did it alone. True maturity is saying I stood on shoulders that never asked for credit. Conclusion. Parents often give their entire lives hoping for success. Children often chase success, forgetting the lives behind it. Psychology teaches us this painful truth. Sacrifice without acknowledgement creates emotional distance. Success without gratitude creates emptiness. And silence on both sides costs more than words ever could. If you are successful today, look back. Someone stood behind you quietly, not for applause and not for recognition, just so you could stand tall. If this video resonates with you, like it and share it. And must subscribe YouTube Trade Sense channel for such videos. Thank you.